Hi, Chris here. And if you have a keen eye, you might have noticed something a little different about my two e-bikes right here, is I finally got both of the new Selle Royal Drifter saddles. These are easily my favorite comfort saddles, and I will show you exactly why I like them so much. These come in two different styles. So this is the brown one, and you can see it has this kind of cool like rose pattern that's on the top. It's really cool looking. And then there's also this black one, which is just kind of a solid black, but it has these nice kind of classy pushed in pins in the back. The brown one also has these same pushed in pins. You can see from back here, this nice cool rose pattern that's on these. This is just on the brown one. The black one's just all nice and black. And then what's great is that these have these nice big springs here, and then they reinforce the springs with these kind of plastic stoppers, because I know a lot of people have had issues with some of the cheaper comfort saddles of these springs popping out. So the black one has these kind of silver ones, and then the brown one has these kind of yellowish ones. So those keep the springs from ever popping out, and they also make the springs a lot quieter. And then here's these nice little metal rivets that are along the back. Really cool looking. They definitely look like saddles that should cost, you know, like $100 or more, but they're usually only about 40 to 50 bucks. And then these also use a combination of foam and gel. And you can see they're just super soft and gushy. I really like them a lot. They're definitely the most comfortable saddle I've ever ridden on. And if you're searching for a nice comfort saddle that not only is super comfy for your backside, but also just looks really good, I highly recommend these Selle Royal Drifter saddles. They're awesome. And you can see over here, I have the original Lectric saddle. This thing's just a kind of a chunk of foam on a piece of plastic with some little rubber elastomers in it. Not very comfy saddle. And then the Rad saddle is basically just like sitting on a park bench. There's almost nothing here. This thing was not very comfortable at all. So switching over to these guys was just kind of a no-brainer for me. So now I'll quickly go over how you install a new saddle on the Lectric XP. It kind of has this weird funky clamp on it, and I'll explain exactly how to remove the old saddle and install the new one. So here's how you can install this on the Lectric XP or any e-bike that has one of these little funky clamps on it. You just want to get on just one side of the nuts here, and these are a 14 millimeter, and you can use a 14 millimeter or just like a crescent wrench, and just loosen up one side. And you just need it loose enough to where you can pop the seat off. And then I'll show you how to use this little fella right in here. So what you want to do is grab your old seat off and flip it around, and then we'll have this little crazy bracket right here. So to get this bracket off, just loosen one of the nuts on the side, and then you can spin it off by hand. And spin one of the nuts completely off and just set it aside. And then you'll have this little end piece here. This will slide off. And then go ahead and push this whole spindle through and slide it out the other side. Set that aside. And then you can just kind of grab all these pieces and pull them out. So you have the whole bracket removed from the old seat. So now we have all of these pieces right here is our whole bracket. And then we can grab our nice, awesome new seat and just flip that around. And the first thing you want to grab is this remaining spindle that still has this little piece on it. And go ahead and you'll see this little thing has a groove in it right here. So just slot that around one side of these rails and kind of hold it in. And I'm pushing this spindle through and holding it with my finger here. Then you want to grab one of these other slotted pieces and slide it down so that now the rail is sandwiched in between here. And hold all of that together. Then we want to grab this big piece, and you'll see that one side has this little pinched area. We want that up towards the seat. And then we also want this whole section so it's pointing forward on the seat. And go ahead and slide that down. And still holding all of this with your hand. Then we want to grab this little slotted piece here, and this is where it gets a little tricky. is right where this little rail part is. We want to hold that onto the rail and kind of gently push this down, and you'll need to push the spindle back out just a little ways and pop those together and then push the spindle back through. So now I'm holding all of this together with my finger right here. Then grab this little other end piece that's slotted and we're going to slide that on. So now the rails are being sandwiched in between all these little pieces here, and then hold all that together. Take your last nut and screw that on. And at this point you can just get it kind of finger tight so that it holds itself on there. And then we'll put this back on the bike and adjust the angle. So now we grab our awesome new seat that now has this bracket kind of on it and just slot it back down over the top. And then this is where you want to adjust the angle of this so that it's relatively level. With these big cushy seats, you almost want the nose pointing just a hair forward. And then you just need to tighten the nuts back down. And you can see that this nut, the threads are way out, so I'm actually gonna tighten the nut down on the other side. And just tighten these nuts down till they're good and snug. And you can go pretty tight on these two nuts down here because you don't want this seat to tilt at all. So really kind of lock them into place and then you're all set. And this is how you install a new saddle on the RadExpand 5. This has just a single bolt style clamp. It's a little easier to change the saddle out on. So all you need to do to install this is just right under here. There's this 6mm bolt and we're gonna just loosen that right up. So just grab your 6mm Allen wrench. I like these P-handle ones from Park Tool, but any 6mm Allen wrench. And then just pop it in there and you're just gonna spin it clockwise. And you just need to loosen this up part way. And then there's this little plate that's on the top here. And so you just kind of spin that so that it sits kind of perpendicular to this. And then just go ahead and slot the new one right on top of it. And then part of the key with these comfort seats is getting the tilt just right. So you kind of want to eyeball it till you think it's about where it might be. And then once you sit on it and go ride it, you may have to slightly adjust that just a little bit. And then once you have it where you like it, just tighten this back down. And make sure this bolt is just good and snug. So that this doesn't turn at all, and then you're all done. For more cool gear recommendations, I have this playlist right here and I keep adding videos to it weekly. So go ahead and check that out, and thanks for watching.